retaliated. There's no word on if there's any damage in those Gulf countries, but it just shows how everything is escalating, and this interim deal to try to end the war now looks increasingly at risk.
Correspondent John Gambrell reporting. The defendant in Charlie Kirk's killing told his roommate he wishes he hadn't done it the day after the conservative activist was shot in the neck while speaking to a crowd at Utah Valley University, according to a recording played in court Thursday. Lance Twiggs, who is also suspect Tyler Robinson's romantic partner, described the interaction with Robinson at their apartment in an interview with law enforcement that was aired by prosecutors. On Wall Street, the Dow by 139 points, the S&P 500 advanced 60. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at two different options: debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
Mortgage interest rates have inched up again.
Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average rate on a 30-year mortgage rose this week to 6.49%. It's now back to where it was 2 weeks ago. When mortgage rates rise, it can add hundreds of dollars a month in costs to a home loan, reducing home buyers' purchasing power. Mortgage rates have been mostly trending higher for months. Higher oil prices due to the war with Iran raised expectations for hotter inflation, pushing up the long-term bond yields that influence mortgage rates. The trend has contributed to lackluster home sales this year. I'm Alex Vega.
Meta says it's investing more than $9 billion to build its first artificial intelligence data center in Canada, and its largest outside the United States. That facility is set to be built in Sturgeon County, Alberta. Officials say they've created a regulatory framework that welcomes such investments. On Wall Street at the close, the Dow was up 139 points. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bob Agnew.
News and analysis at townhall.com.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Another muggy and warm evening, a chance for a stray shower before midnight. The low is 78. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies to go with a 30% opportunity for a thunderstorm. We'll have a high reaching 97. For the weekend, rain possible. 40% chance Saturday, 60% possibility on Sunday, and we're cooler Sunday, high as 89. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
And away we go on a big Thursday night here on Sports Talk, all across the state of South Carolina on an oppressively hot Thursday afternoon in the early portion of July. Chris Bergen down here in the PD. We're just roasting and basking in the sun. No rain in sight. Maybe this weekend it'd be nice to turn what is presently a brown yard maybe back to a moderate green. Won't ever get back to hunter green, I don't think, until we get into the fall. But nonetheless, it'd be nice to get some rain. But it has been extremely hot Tried to grill out a little bit this afternoon. That probably wasn't the smartest thing. So cooling off as we get into this Thursday here on Sports Talk. Phil Kornblut out on vacation. He'll be gone until late next week. Josh Cohen, the plumber, in the studios. Get you ready up on the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number at 888-898-2525. You can learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/educationwins. Playing for fun is a win for education, or you can text us if you're more comfortable doing so. We'll get to some of those. I think we'll have time tonight at 803-900-4847. Again, 803-900-4847. Mr. Cohen, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing well. I drove up to Newberry this afternoon, and
what did you think?
It was interesting, that's for sure. You don't really know it's a city when you're getting off the highway. All you see is the pilot truck or the Love's truck stop and a hotel and the big Samsung factory, and then you get off the highway, it's nothing for a couple miles, and you get into the you see a Walmart on your left and the city on your right as you're going in.
Yep.
So
rode past Newberry High School, I'm sure, on the way.
Probably. I don't specifically remember. Oh,
On
yes,
your right
I did.
as you're
Yeah, I
in.
did. They have a nice little football facility over there.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they sure do. And Newberry's got a very quaint downtown, of course, famously known for the Opera House in Newberry. So it's good for you to experience the other the other side of South Carolina. You spend so much time in the big city. It's good for you to get out into the rural communities every now and then.
I'm a city boy, I guess.
I can
that's what
tell.
people can say, yeah. Yeah, city boy. I don't belong in Clemson, I think is what people would say, you know.
Probably not. No, you're better served in Columbia, Charleston, Greenville, and maybe Myrtle Beach.
I'm fine with it, though. I'm not,
There's nothing wrong with that.
You know, I have, I don't have a lot of land or anything, so I would like to, but I definitely belong in the city.
There you go. So that's why. So Josh is in the heart of downtown Columbia. You can give him a call, keep him company, and join us tonight at 888-898-2525. Got a fun show planned for you tonight. Coming up just after 6:30, Chris Dorsey will drop by for his weekly rundown on American Legion Baseball. We will chat with him about the upcoming American Legion Baseball senior playoffs. The junior Legion teams have already gotten into the playoffs. Senior Legion teams, I guess a game or two left to go this week. Certainly a big one tonight for Richland Post 215, which of course is part and parcel to Chris Dorsey, so we will chat with him at 6:30. Coming up after 7 o'clock tonight, we're going to catch up with our good friend Jason Priester of the Clemson Insider, get his early take on what we should expect to see next week at ACC Media Days. We will also talk with him about the new president named earlier today at Clemson University, so they had to take a double take, but they bring in Georgia Provost Benjamin Ayers as their next president, so we'll get JP's take on that, plus ACC Media Days, what he expects to see and hear from the Tigers starting Tuesday with their local media up at Clemson inside Dabo World, and then, of course, when they get over to Charlotte next weekend. And we will talk with Smitty about that all next week. Smitty will be on the ground in Uptown Charlotte for ACC Media Days, covering it for us here on Sports Talk, so we'll hear from all the coaches, certainly Dabo Swinney, and everybody else involved with ACC football. Manny Diaz, the reigning ACC champions in Duke. And then, of course, James Franklin making his first appearance as head coach at Virginia Tech in the Atlantic Coast Conference. So all of that coming your way late next week as they get rolling in the middle of the week up in Uptown Charlotte. Then after 7:30, since Corn's gone, because I'd understand, Josh, while I was sick on Tuesday, I believe it was, because they had somebody tell me he was listening to Sports Talk and listened to Phil's rant about the ratings for the World Cup. Could not believe how good the ratings have been for soccer here in the United States. So I figured probably us talking World Cup soccer, we needed to make sure we did it on a day where Phil was not here.
Well, I know nothing about soccer, but I do know that it's been super popular, obviously, and I wonder if USA men's national team, I wonder now that if they're done for the season, for the tournament, whatever. I wonder if the ratings will drop. I'm not sure how the ratings were put. I don't know if Phil mentioned it, but I wonder if the ratings were higher for the USA games or just on the board, over the board, or across the board, I should say.
Yeah, it was funny at the tail end of our match on Monday against Belgium when it was fairly obvious we were not going to advance. The announcers on Fox, you could tell they were panicking because they're thinking, oh, gosh, there goes a lot of folks who are not going to pay attention anymore because we don't have a rooting interest anymore. home team is done. So they started promoting about, hey, don't forget there's some really, really good teams still left in the World Cup, including France, who won just a little while ago today to advance to the semis over Morocco. Of course, you have Argentina, the reigning world champions. So we're going to catch up with Mike Noonan, the very, very successful longtime head coach at Clemson, the men's soccer program. He's going to be our soccer analyst. We will talk with him right after 7:30, get his thoughts on just what Josh asked. How much is the interest going to wane? Do you believe here the final, 10 days or so of the World Cup now that the United States men's national team is no longer involved? Get his thoughts on how much they advanced and what he thought about the popularity around the team and all of that stuff. Plus, we'll talk some Clemson soccer. There are massive changes, if you don't know, coming to collegiate soccer, not this upcoming season, but the following season. For many, many years, soccer has been a fall season only. That is no longer going to be the case, not this coming season, as I mentioned, not 26-27, but 27-28. They are actually going to split it into 2 semesters. They're going to play some of the season in the fall, the remainder of the season, including the championship, in the spring. So Coach Noonan, who's won a couple of national championships at Clemson, we will ask him, all right, is this a good idea? If so, why? So we'll talk a little soccer just after 7:30 here on the program. All right, 888-898-2525. So that's what we've got in store for you tonight here on Sports Talk. But wanted to kick off the program. And I know as soon as I say this, Josh, people are going to go, oh, great. Get the basketball guy on. He wants to talk some basketball. But it had actually been a big basketball day in terms of news. Now, again, it's July the 9th. No one, I'm sure, wants to hear basketball when we're just a few days away from ACC Media Days and then about 10 days out from the start of SEC Media Days down in Tampa. But there is a local tie-in to this, so there is a reason I bring this up today, outside of the oddity that it is. And we are actually going to catch up with Bob Moran next Monday here on the program. He's the president of BMOC Sports and Entertainment. They are putting on an event down in Charleston that is actually going to take place at the tennis facility at the Daniel Island Tennis Complex. Normally they host, obviously, tennis matches and music, but now it's going to have the Link U Invitational, which, Josh Cohen, is going to be an outdoor college basketball doubleheader.
Well, let's hear some more. Because I right before the show, I looked it up. I opened Twitter and I said, "What's this?" So I want to hear more. Tell me about it. It sounds fun.
You probably had the same reaction 95% of us did. What in the world? All right, first off, it is going to be September the 27th. Now, the college basketball season does not begin until the first week of November. So we're going to have, these are exhibition games, obviously. On September the 27th, the University of Virginia and Vanderbilt are going to play. And also, the College of Charleston, the College of Knowledge, will take on the Citadel. And what is being billed as a day-long celebration of college basketball, community, and fan experiences, the Cougars and Bulldogs will face off at 3 p.m. on center court in the exhibition. Now, Bob Moran told the folks down in Charleston earlier today when the release came out, he said, college basketball has passionate fan bases, rich traditions, and a unique ability to bring communities together. From the long-standing rivalry between the College of Charleston and the Citadel to welcoming Virginia and Vanderbilt to Charleston, this event brings together outstanding programs unlike any other. So I have, clearly, if you listen to this program, you know I'm normally a very big traditionalist. Don't like neutral site games.
No. No.
Not a big fan of neutral site games. Not a big fan of a lot of things going on in college athletics. There are several things, and I will give Bob a chance to explain this. Like I said, we've got him lined up to join us next Monday here on the program. But the biggest problem I have with this is, as I mentioned, it's September 27th. They're going to play in the middle of the afternoon outside in a basketball on a tennis court, which will turn in, obviously, they'll put a basketball court down. But, Josh, last I checked, late September in Charleston, late September in Columbia, late September in Florence, South Carolina, not normally really cool outside.
Yeah. Well, there might be some breeze, isn't there? I'm going to make a fool of myself if I'm wrong, but isn't that on the coast?
Yes, and it's funny you say that. Because I look back, now this is not the first time that college basketball has wanted to venture outside. I'll get back to the date in just a couple of minutes, but You may remember about, it's been almost 15 years ago now. You go back to the Carrier Classic. They had some basketball games. They actually put a basketball court on an aircraft carrier.
Yep.
And the biggest problem they had with that was because the court actually had to be set up the day before. It sat outside during the night. And, of course, the aircraft carrier has to be in the water. So you get the condensation and the humidity and the cool air that blew across the court. Well, once they played the games, the court was slippery. But the bigger problem they ran into, Draymond Green, actually, I read an article. He played for Michigan State. They were involved in one of these events. He actually brought up the wind. And he said, you start to take a shot and the wind blows and it maneuvers the basketball away from the rim. They're not used to angling their shots to play the wind. They're not golfers. They're not tennis players. They're certainly not football players who have to try and deal with that as a quarterback. All right, if the wind's blowing really, really hard into my face, I've got to make sure I throw it harder than I normally would to compensate for the wind. Basketball players are used to this because their game is indoors.
I will agree. It's definitely an indoor game. Now, I think it'll be fun. Obviously, if the schools agreed to it, they're all fine with it. But I agree.
Mm-hmm.
If you try to take a shot in the wind, it's not going to perform how you expect, even though it is. Yeah. So I see your point in this situation. I see your point, but I do like neutral site games. But like I said, in this specific situation, I agree.
Now, both coaches are thrilled about this. Ed Conroy said, we are thrilled, but he said it would be a terrific experience for our team to compete at Credit One Stadium, which is the tennis facility down on Daniel Island, as we prepare for the upcoming season. I know our fans will enjoy the weekend and certainly appreciate being part of this experience with Vanderbilt, UVA, and also the College of Charleston. John Gross of the College of Charleston went on to say, we are beyond excited to participate in the Link U Invitational at Credit One Stadium. The opportunity to partner with the Citadel, Vanderbilt, and Virginia to create a unique outdoor entertainment experience for spectators and fans is special. I cannot think of a better way to tip off the 2026-27 college basketball season. Go Cougs. Well, he brings up a fascinating point. He says to tip off the basketball season. If I'm not mistaken, this would be the earliest that a college basketball game, exhibition or otherwise, has ever been played, September 27th. Now, keep in mind, the regular season will not begin until the first week of November. So, Josh, could you imagine? We've heard often that Shane Beamer, Dabo Swinney, a lot of college coaches would love to play a preseason scrimmage or exhibition game against another team to get ready for the upcoming season, whether it is in spring practice, maybe as their spring game, or perhaps maybe really early in fall camp. Could you imagine Clemson taking on, let's say, Furman? Let's just take Furman, for instance. Clay Hendricks, Dabo Swinney agree to play a football game this weekend.
Could I imagine it? I mean, with the way college sports is and with the way everything's going right now, yeah, it sounds believable.
Yes, and also ridiculous at the same time.
Absolutely ridiculous.
You're talking about 9 weeks. Let's see, about 9 weeks roughly before the start of the season, which is almost the equivalent of playing a basketball exhibition in late September when your regular season doesn't begin until November. I don't know what the teams will. Obviously, this will be fun experience. But in terms of actually preparing your team for the upcoming season, I have no idea how the coaches will get anything out of this other than the unique opportunity to get out and step on a tennis court that has been turned into a basketball court, play outside, and get to go, from the Citadel and the college's perspective, go head to head with one of your crosstown rivals, and quite frankly, from Vanderbilt's perspective, a chance to play against a good Virginia team. But we're talking about playing an exhibition in September and the possibility that you would make it through the NCAA tournament all the way to April. That's a long season.
That is a very long season. But I want to back up for a second. You said, how believable would it be if Wofford, I think you said, and South Carolina played a football game?
Sure. Yeah, use those two teams.
I think that would back me up here for a second. Tell me I'm wrong, but what's wrong with that? Early, like almost like as a spring game, a summer game, you can call it. It's another chance for injury, but
right. I've got no problem with this in theory, and certainly your example from a college football scrimmage, I'd love to see it. But I would want to see the college football scrimmage take place actually at the tail end of spring practice. Utilize that as your spring game, say in April. or, late March, depending on how early you want to start spring practice, to give your players enough time. If someone were to go down in this exhibition in September, I guess maybe you'd have enough time to bounce back 6 weeks to get ready. But it's just fascinating to me. And like I said, Bob Moran's going to join us next Monday. Looking forward to chatting with him about how all of this came about, because this is not the only one that was announced today. There's also going to be taking place. This one makes a little more sense just because of the date. It's a week or so later in October. October 7th, there's going to be one at a tennis facility up in Ohio, just outside, I believe, of Columbus. And you're going to have Dayton, Ohio State, Cincinnati, and Xavier. They're actually also going to be playing outside in an exhibition. So this may be something that starts to occur more frequently. They figured out maybe that on an aircraft carrier, that wasn't the way to go. So let's go to a tennis court, which is a little more enclosed. Maybe it'll help prevent some of the wind. And then certainly the only other concern you have, especially late September in the South, is going to be rain in the afternoon. So just thought that was fascinating, and we'll talk more about it coming up on Monday here on the program. All right, just getting rolling on a big Thursday night here on Sports Talk. If you'd like to join us, you certainly can as we pause for a timeout at 888-898-2525, or text us your thoughts. Would you like to go see an exhibition 6-7 weeks before the start of whatever season, whether it be football, basketball, or baseball? 803-900-4847. We'll hit some other news notes on the other side of the break here on Sports Talk.
Founders Federal Credit Union has some exciting news for our members. We're proud to announce early pay coming later this month to Founders members. Get paid up to 2 days early. Yes, you heard that right. Once Founders is notified of an upcoming direct deposit on your account, Founders will automatically credit that account early by up to 2 days. If you still need to switch your direct deposit to Founders, stop by an office or use Founders online or the Founders app today. No other action is needed. Initial processing times vary. To learn more about Founders Early Pay, visit foundersfcu.com/early pay. If you're not a Founders member yet, now's the perfect time to join. Stop by an office near you or visit us online at foundersfcu.com to learn more about everything that Founders has to offer and to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Federally insured by NCUA, membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Founders does not guarantee early posting.
It might be tough to picture your kid in college today, but it'll be here before you know it. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, makes it easy to start saving right now. You can start with any amount. Savings grow tax-free, and friends and family can chip in too. Discover the smart, easy way to save today at futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com. That's futurescholar.com.
This is Major Billy Downer with the Department of Natural Resources, and I've got a message for all of our hunters out there. When you go afield, always make sure to positively identify your target. Know the identifying features of the game you're hunting, and know what's beyond your target in case you miss. If you want more information on hunter education, visit dnr.sc.gov or join us on Wednesday nights for SC Wild.
You can listen to SC Wild on the Sports Talk Media Network or at dnr.sc.gov/podcasts.
Looking for thrills? Then welcome to the South Carolina Education Lottery, where excitement's the name of the game, and every chance at a win...
Just one more. Come on, so close.
...comes with a chance of a whiff.
Ugh. Well, no biggie.
Nicely done. You handled it like a pro. Because when the stakes start getting too real and you find yourself playing for more than fun, it might be time to take a break.
Good point.
Playing for fun makes you a better player, and a better player is a better you. Learn more at SCEducationLottery.com.
Thursday night here on Sports Talk. Chris Dorsey set to join us in about 10 minutes. We get our American Legion update, the rundown, presented by our good friends at the Big Red Box Dumpster Company. In just a little bit later on, Jason Priester set to join us from the Clemson Insider, and we'll talk some World Cup soccer with the head coach of the Tigers men's soccer team, Mike Noonan, just after 7:30. But let's kick things off with you now on the phone lines tonight at 888-898-2525 as we welcome in Hank in Columbia. Hank, you're up first here tonight on Sports Talk. Good evening, sir.
Hey, Bertie. I was calling to kind of give a little different perspective on that game.
Sure.
From being from Charleston, if you've ever gone down to remember the Family Circle Cup tennis match with Serena Williams and all them played in that every year. That's the actual stadium. They just renamed it, because of money rights or whatever.
Right.
And if you've ever been there, they played those. It was a tennis match on the WTA schedule, and the way it's built is kind of built almost like in a hole. So it's like actually where the court is, the seats and all that come up from it. It's almost not below ground, but it's in a deep hole. So you don't really have the wind issue. Otherwise, you would,
right.
Of course, with tennis, you would see, you have way more issues than you have with basketball. It's kind of set up in there. So that's one thing. And I think the nostalgia from a Charleston standpoint is that one of the things they do in Charleston is they do what's called midnight basketball for all the travel teams and AAU teams. And it was a way, and that's done outside at midnight. And it was kind of started as a way to keep teams out of trouble during the summer, keep them off, out of getting into other things at night. And it's pretty big. So, they call it Midnight Lights in Charleston, and they have officials out there with AAU teams and the police officers are out there to make sure nothing goes on. But it's a way to kind of keep children off, kind of out of people's houses, other people's houses and stuff at night. That's it's probably gonna be a lot more conducive than like a aircraft carrier or something where
right.
wide open air and all of that.
That's a great point.
And the other thing about the time of it, you got to remember that's late September. Most of the teams, the men's teams, will have actually been in the regular practice for a couple of weeks. Which basically, that being a scrimmage, normally those scrimmages would have already taken place somewhere, little secret scrimmages after they get a couple of weeks in, because they get if you look at Carolina and up here for boys and women, they get to practice with their coaches for something like 8 hours a week throughout the summer. And our men's team would be coming back off of a late August trip to the Bahamas where they would play 4 or 5 games. So, you could actually, it does give them a chance to, see some of the new people and what they have in a probably a fun environment. So it's not as it's not as out of bounds as you would think, because I think a lot of times the opening practice for the men and women would start somewhere around September the 10th or whatever. So I always remember them leaving the football game earlier, practicing, and then coming over to the football game with some recruits when they would open up. So that's just a little different perspective on that whole thing, because I remember the girls played an early October exhibition last year. We went to it was over in Atlanta, State Farm Arena. So they had already been practicing for a couple of weeks.
Yep. It's good stuff, Hank. Thanks for the insight. No, and I agree with you. I think looking at the setup down at Daniel Island, it is down in a hole, so the wind might not be a problem. The biggest issue I have, I'm a traditionalist. I remember October 15th used to be basically a national holiday because that was when the first day of college basketball practice started. I don't know when we migrated back into July now, but that's about where we are. All right, we talk some baseball next.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Another muggy and warm evening. A chance for a stray shower before midnight. The low is 78. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies to go with a 30% opportunity for thunderstorms. We'll have a high reaching 97. For the weekend, rain possible. 40% chance Saturday, 60% possibility on Sunday, and we're cooler Sunday, high as 89. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
Wall Street. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A former Olympic canoe racer has pleaded not guilty to deliberately damaging the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. David Hearn, who competed in 3 Summer Olympics, entered the plea on Thursday in D.C. Superior Court. Hearn, 67, from Bethesda, Maryland, faces a felony count of property destruction. The United States has launched new airstrikes against Iran, and Tehran responded by targeting Gulf countries. The exchange of fire threatened an interim deal intended to help end the war in the Middle East. Back-and-forth attacks have repeatedly threatened the ceasefire, but Thursdays appeared bigger all around. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 139 points. The Nasdaq rose 336. The S&P 500 advanced 60. Oil near $72 a barrel. This is SRN News.
Get ready for a summer of adventure with Founders Federal Credit Union. Now through July 31st, you can take advantage of a special 5.99% APR on select travel purchases made with your Founders credit card. Whether you're planning a road trip across the state, a relaxing beach getaway, or finally checking off that bucket list destination, we're here to help you make it happen. With this promotional APR, you can enjoy your summer without the stress of high interest rates. Pack your bags, gather your loved ones, get moving on your dream vacation. Founders makes it easy to enjoy more. So go ahead, kick back, relax, and soak up every sub-soak moment of your well-deserved summer break without breaking your budget. Learn more and see the list of qualifying purchases at foundersfcu.com/cc. Let Founders help you take the trip of a lifetime. Promotional rate ends February 1st, 2027. Effective APR of 12.5 to 17.9% will apply. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
At Palmetto State Armory, we offer the largest selection of guns and ammunition at unbeatable prices. Our knowledgeable and friendly staff are here to provide personalized assistance, ensuring you find exactly what you need. If you enjoy outdoor activities like hunting, camping, or hiking, our clothing and outdoor gear collection has got you covered. We also feature an exceptional indoor range facility where you can experience the thrill of shooting in a safe and controlled environment. Visit us today at PalmettoStateArmory.com or your local retail store. Palmetto State Armory, American made for life.
South Carolina summers are hot and humid and hard on your air conditioner. When your home stops feeling comfortable, call Sweet Comfort Services. We're family owned and operated with over 30 years of heating and air experience. From service and maintenance to complete system replacement, we're here to keep your family cool. We'll even meet or beat any quote from a licensed competitor. Schedule your appointment online at sweethvac.com or call 803-331-8143. Sweet Comfort Services, comfort you can count on.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-358-9218. 800-358-9218. 800-358-9218.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Recruiting coming up here in just a little while on a big Thursday edition of Sports Talk. 2028 wide receiver Jamari Kane out of Richmond set to make his commitment announcement here any time now. The consensus is it will be the Gamecocks. If not, it's going to be Virginia Tech or Kentucky. Those are his final three. We will keep you posted on that. We've got recruiting in just a little while, and that'll include his commitment announcement whenever that comes down. You can always follow us on Twitter at ST Recruiting and also up on our website, the newly designed website at SportsTalkSC.com. All right, Major League Baseball from earlier today. The Braves actually showed up, played well today. Defeat the Pirates by a score of 10-5. Other finals: Mets over Kansas City 7-3. Yankees blow out Tampa Bay 12-4. Baltimore 3. The Cubs 2. Cleveland beat Minnesota 5-2. And Boston 2-1 winners over the Chicago White Sox. And speaking of baseball, it is that time of year as we start getting a little bit warmer, a little hotter. That means the American Legion Baseball playoffs are almost upon us. And time now for the rundown. Our American Legion update with Post 215 head coach Chris Dorsey relaunched American Legion Baseball at Richland Post 215 back in 2022 after a 10-year absence. He, of course, played collegiately under Gary Gilmore at USC Aiken and was in the Mets organization as well. He's the head coach for the senior team and oversees 6 teams as the organization's GM. Busy guy. And his segment brought to you by the Big Red Box Dumpster Company. The rundown presented by those guys like Sports Talk. Big Red Box Dumpsters cover the state. Big Red Box containers have convenient swinging doors on the back for easy loading. Make your dumpster rental simple by calling Big Red Box at 803-783-6834 or just Google Big Red Box Dumpster Company. As his team gets ready to take on the Sumter P-15s, Chris Dorsey joins us from the ball field tonight. Coach, how you doing on this Thursday?
Doing great. The weather seems to be cooperating with us. This is like the mildest night that we've had in a long time. It seems like it's like 80 degrees with a breeze. So hopefully the weather stays away, and we can get this game in tonight against Sumter, who has beat us 3 games out of 3 this year, and taken command of first. Yeah, they took. So we last night was a big game for us because we had to beat West Columbia. By the way, Tyler Hernandez pitched a perfect game last night, the first perfect game in program history. As you know, Tyler's going to USC Aiken as a 2-way player. He's been absolutely incredible this year. Alvin Murray's hitting over 400 this year for the second year in a row. His career batting average with us is over 400, which is a program record. And so those 2 guys kind of carried us last night, along with a bunch of hits. So we won 15-0, and it was a must win because if we'd have lost that game and lost tonight, we would have finished out of the playoffs. But in winning that game puts us in the 2 seed. But even if we win tonight, we would be tied with Sumter, and they've got the series head to head with us. So they've automatically clinched first place.
Brought up a lot of fun stuff we can chat about. I wanted to go back, though, to Tyler's perfect game last night. If I'm not mistaken, Smitty tells us his brother was actually on the other end and caught that perfect game.
Yeah, how cool is that? So Dylan's our catcher, Dylan Hernandez, who's going to college at Charleston. He was on the back end. We had a great picture after the game. I hate to say it, there's an asterisk beside it because it was only a 5-inning because, it was a 10-run rule. But still, he was an unbelievable, just pitching the contact. He got immunization shots 2 days before, so he had to miss the game against Lexington the night before. So we didn't really know if he was going to be okay to start, and he was fine. And he kind of pitched. I told him, I said, it was kind of like a flu game for Jordan. He just, when you get a little sick, something kind of zeroes in, and he wasn't throwing. It was funny because last night, he can get it up to 90 miles per hour, and he was probably sitting 86 and just pitching the contact and just kind of smooth and just pitching the contact. A lot of pop-ups, a lot of good plays by the outfielders. And, yeah, what a moment for those 2 brothers. Their mom and dad were there, and we took a nice picture with them, and hopefully that's a picture that Dylan Hernandez and Tyler will remember forever.
That's really cool stuff. And this seems like probably an easy, obvious answer, rather. But is it easier to have a perfect game no-hitter when you're up so big and your offense is giving you so many runs? Or is the concern then as a pitcher that you kind of lose focus because you've got such a big lead?
Man, I tell you, I think it kind of I don't even think people in our dugout knew it. I'll be honest with you. I didn't even look at it till the 5th inning, and then I went, wait a second, there's no runs, there's no hits, and there's no errors. and so I kind of got, and you're up 15-0, so, it was the first game that we've had this year that was easy. You know what I mean? Like every game has just been a dogfight. So it was really nice to have a game like that. But I got a little nervous because he went 3-2 on the last guy and ended up getting a pop out. So, I didn't want for him to walk. But, yeah, me and the coach and funny enough, Tyler, knew it too. We talked to him after the game. He knew it. I'm not sure. Let me ask Dylan. Dylan, did you know he had a perfect game going? Yep. So Dylan said he knew it in the fourth. So his brother did too.
Those guys probably know it more so than the coaches and fans do. You know, they keep up with those stats in their heads.
Well, it's funny. They're brothers, and they're best friends, but they're a little bit different personalities. So one's a catcher. Matter of fact, it's funny. Tyler was a catcher when he was younger, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna let my brother. My brother is probably a better catcher than me. I'm gonna let him do it. And Tyler ended up becoming a pitcher. Last year, he started pitching. So Tyler, his first year really pitching was last year, and he really didn't know what he was doing. And then he worked with Banks Faulkner all fall and came back this spring. And as y'all know, he was state player of the year, two-way. I mean, a legitimate two-way player, and gets the ball up to 91 miles per hour and throws strikes and has a good curveball. So USCA can, good for them because they got a great player, and good for Tyler for going there because he's going to go there and immediately get playing time. And that's what it's all about. I tell all my players all the time, it's not about big time, it's about playing time.
I like that. American Legion Rundown tonight with Chris Dorsey, brought to you by our good friends at the Big Red Box Dumpster Company. Coach, we'll circle back to your game in just a couple of minutes, but give us an idea. The top 10 in the state came out earlier this week. You had Camden, Florence, Sumter, Chesney, and Easley rounding out the top 5. Then it's Greer, Fort Mill, Manning, Richland, your team, and then Anderson, the top 10 in the state. But one team I wanted to get your take on was Fort Mill. They're sitting there at number 7 in the state, but they are doing, it appears, their level best to try and give Camden a run for their money in League 3.
Yeah, so League 3 is, it's Camden, Rock Hill, and Fort Mill. Those are the three-headed monsters. Mm-hmm. And Camden's just been a little bit better against those guys this year. Fort Mill, Tom Sculla up there does a tremendous job. I'm good friends with him. Fort Mill's a well-ran program. And a lot of respect for those guys. They're always tough. They're always, they played for the state championship 2 years ago. They're always in the playoffs. They're always in the mix, and they get good players. And they got to play Camden 3 times. And Rock Hill actually beat Camden the other night, so that goes to show you how good they are. And Camden's just been on fire. I mean, I think Bishop, the kid from Camden High School that's going to USC Sumter, I know he hit 3 home runs in a game a couple of nights ago. Then he had 2 games where he hit 2, so that's 7. And I know he's hit more than that. He might have 10 home runs, and wow. I've never seen anything like. I mean, he's got 10 homers, and they play at Camden. That's the biggest park in the state. I mean, if you can get it out of that Camden field, it's 390 to center, 375 in the power alleys, and 340s down the line. It's a graveyard. So the kid's got big time power. USC Sumter's getting a hell of a player in Bishop.
How good is this Manning team? This much like Fort Mill, trying to keep pace with Florence, but they seem to be playing awfully well this season.
Yeah, Manning, and they're always solid. Their coach does a good job. He's been there for a while, and when you're playing Florence 3 times a year, it's always tough. And let me tell you, Horry's a good Legion team too. So they're really good, and I think, and who's the other guy? If you got that list in front of you, is it Florence? So Florence, what is it? Florence, Manning, Somerville, Horry?
Correct.
Okay.
In order.
Yeah, Somerville kind of busted on the scene last year. They were in a different league, and they had a really good league. This year they were put in a much stronger league. That league's really tough with those guys, and obviously. I think I'm biased, but I think our league's the toughest league in the state. Mm-hmm. But that league right there is really tough as well.
Where do we stand with regards to remaining games in the regular season? When did the playoffs get underway, and how are those looking? You said you guys right now are sitting in second, so how does that look for your team and everybody else lining up to get ready to chase a championship here in the next few weeks?
Yeah, So right now, this is our last game of the regular season, and we're playing Sumter, like I said, and every game obviously matters for seeding, but this game right here means nothing as far as where we finish, because if we win, we're second place. If we lose, we're in second place. That being said, we've gotten beat by them 3 times, so we're hungry to play hard and to win this game. playoffs start on the 13th. There's two wild cards, and I don't even know who those guys will be. I will, and then on the 15th we play a 3-game series against. Everybody plays 3-game series, 1 versus 3, and they seed it. But I want to throw something else out there. 2 things. Number 1, Easley and Chesney. Easley, the kid, the young man. Sorry, he's not a kid. He's a stud. He's done a great job. Is Jonathan Hall up there at Easley. He's really revived that Easley program. He has put a lot of tremendous time. He reminds me a lot of myself when I started the 215 back 5 years ago. And he's built a powerhouse up there. He's ranked 5th. Good for him. Kudos to Mr. Coach Hall and what he's built, because I know how hard he's worked to do it, because it's not easy, resurrecting Legion programs, raising the money, getting the players, and selling it. And once you get it, you can get on cruise control. And, and that's where I'm glad for Jonathan Hall. Chesney is a team I know nothing about. It seems like this year is the first year that they've been really good since I've been coaching, but man, they're on fire. And, obviously Florence is Florence. And, I said last week it was Camden. I said it was Florence and Camden and Sumter. Sumter's been on a 3-game skid. But I still would rank it probably like that. And, we were ranked 4th last week. We got beat 3 times to Sumter, and now we're 9th. And but the thing about it is we got beat by Lexington the other night on a walk-off, and Lexington's in 4th place in our division. I think they'll make the wild card game, and they'll be the wild card. They've got 2 pitchers. They've got 3 pitchers, and that are 2 pitchers going to Flodar, and then Dalton Taylor that's going to that goes to USC Sumter now and pitches. I would hate to play them as a one. So a 1 seed's going to get like a Lexington or Chapin Newberry in that wild card game, and those teams are really good. They just had tough seasons, but they're great teams.
All right, before we let you go, hand in your lineup card for tonight's game. What do you guys have to do to maybe get over the hump against Sumter here tonight?
Well, we got to control their running game. They have ran all over us, and they've got a lot of team speed. We did face Davis, their ace, twice. So Davis got spent, which is good, was just really good, because he's almost unhittable. And our guys have really been hitting lately. We've made some lineup, move some guys here and there, and I think they really like it. And we've been hitting the ball really good. So it's going to be a Pier Sixer, as Gordon Sully used to say. But we want to beat Sumter tonight, and they want to beat us. So it's just Legion baseball, man. It's every night is a grind. There's never a night off. You win some, you lose some, but it's whoever stays together as a team and gets hot at the end of the year. So this is it, man. I mean, this is the last night.
Well, go get them, Coach. We appreciate the time. Best of luck tonight, and we'll talk to you next week about the start of the postseason.
Yep, look forward to it, guys. Y'all take care. See you.
All right, that's Chris Dorsey with our American Legion Rundown. The rundown brought to you by the Big Red Box Dumpster Company. Give them a call at 803-783-6834 or Google Big Red Box Dumpster Company. Big thank you to Chris Dorsey. By the way, we've got recruiting coming up in just a second, but South Carolina has landed another commitment. They've gotten their second wide receiver in 2 days, as Jamari Kane has committed. The 2028 prospect has committed to the Gamecocks. That just coming down in the last couple of minutes. We've got more details on him in just a couple of seconds with recruiting. Big thanks again to Chris Dorsey for dropping by. Get out and see some American Legion baseball. It is really good stuff. I did like, though, Josh, what he said, where it's nice outside tonight. It's in the 80s. It's humid, but we've got a breeze.
I don't know. Where I am, it's 93. So.
Well, he's not that far from you over at AC Flora High School. But so get out and enjoy some good American Legion baseball. It's outstanding here in the state of South Carolina. All right, we take a time out on the Big Thursday. Up next, we've got recruiting. It's on the way.
Effective training is not just about lifting heavier weight. It is about producing force with control. The Tsunami Bar was developed in 2012 to enhance high-intensity workouts while helping reduce joint stress. Its flexible design creates controlled oscillation, requiring your muscles to stabilize and work together throughout each movement. This promotes greater muscle activation, improved balance, and stronger functional performance. Tsunami Bar Sports is committed to continuous improvement, delivering dynamic training tools for individuals at every fitness level. Whether you are focused on long-term strength, injury prevention, or improving rotational stability for sports like golf, Tsunami Bar training supports total body performance. Discover more at TsunamiBarSports.com. Visit TsunamiBarSports.com. That's TsunamiBarSports.com.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
There's people that go their whole education without having an African-American teacher. So when I received my lottery-funded life scholarship, I knew I wanted to choose a school that had the Call Me Mr. program. Their mission is to recruit and retain teachers to be those role models for students in underserved areas. And that's what I want to do for my students.
More role models means a better South Carolina. And a better South Carolina means a better you. Visit SCEducationLottery.com/betteryou.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All right, it is time for recruiting here on Sports Talk Recruiting every night, brought to you by our good friends over at Seawell's, getting ready to make that big move over to the fairgrounds. And so with that in store, that means no longer the daily luncheon buffet. But that being said, if you're looking for the best in the catering business, they've been doing it for 8 decades. They know exactly what they're doing. SeawellsCateringSC.com. Again, SeawellsCateringSC.com for all the details, or 803-771-7385 for the best in the catering business at Seawells. As we just mentioned, South Carolina continues its red-hot streak in recruiting. South Carolina receivers coach Mike Fury wasting no time in filling his coffers for the upcoming year. As a matter of fact, the 2028 campaign, after landing a public commitment Wednesday morning from Jet Gibbs of Burlington, North Carolina, Fury went on to pick up a commitment just a few minutes ago from Jamari Kane, 6 feet 178 out of Richmond. Kane chose the Gamecocks over Kentucky and Virginia Tech. He also had offers from Syracuse, East Carolina, Marshall, Liberty, and Tulane. He competed in front of Fury in June at a 7-on-7 tournament at USC and was offered on June 13th. He had been to previous tournaments at South Carolina, so he and Fury have become close over the last couple of years. It's more than football. Kane said, I've got a great bond, especially with Coach Fury. I've got a great bond with him since the first time I came up there. It feels great when I go up there. I feel good. I feel comfortable. Last season, he caught 28 passes for 532 yards and 5 touchdowns. He said that Mike Fury likes everything about his game, most definitely route running and catching. Kane said, I know how to block. I take pride in blocking, too. I ain't going to lie. That's a direct quote, by the way. You can't be on the field and don't know how to block. He's a teammate of USC 2027 receiver commitment Ivion Lewis, but he said his decision was made independent of that. One-time Clemson target linebacker Roman Igwebike will announce on Saturday the Tigers are not in the running for his commitment. Indiana, Missouri, Notre Dame, and Tennessee are the other schools listed as possible choices. Clemson and South Carolina target 2028 offensive lineman Joey Fleming of Huntsville, Alabama, has been offered by Nebraska. 2028 quarterback Trace Hawkins of Calhoun, Georgia, told Chad Simmons of Rivals he currently has Clemson and LSU as his top 2 schools. Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Virginia Tech are also on his list. Clemson and South Carolina target 2028 offensive lineman Samuel Bailey was offered by Nebraska. That's his 30th offer. South Carolina target 2028 wide receiver Maddox Davis of Cartersville, Georgia, was offered by Michigan. He was offered by Mike Fury again while in for a game visit last October. He also has offers from Miami, Arizona State, Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, LSU, Duke, Florida State, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Indiana, Georgia Tech, Missouri, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, and others. So we just got tired after, 15 schools? That's where we stopped. That's where the others began. The long summer The long summer run of NCAA-approved basketball events is continuing this week. Two of the biggest ones are the Adidas event in Bryan, Texas, and also the Nike-sponsored competition out in Las Vegas. It's in Nevada, where you'll likely find some USC and Clemson recruiters as they keep their eyes on 6'6" Rashad Tisby of Augusta. The Gamecocks have offered Tisby. The Tigers have not to this point. Both, however, are big players in his recruitment. USC coach Lamont Paris and his staff had a chance to watch Tisby at their team camp last month. Said, quote, I was still getting the connections with Coach Lamont and Coach Kerry Rich. Tisby said, I met one of the new staff members, and Sam Decker said he'll be in touch with me. He enjoys watching me play, so I've still been in contact with them. They've been watching my games and keeping in contact with me since my sophomore year. Then my junior year, they offered me, so ever since then, they've just been keeping in contact with me, checking up on me, seeing how my day is going. They have really been interested in me. Tisby said he got a chance to talk more with Paris and Rich while he was in Columbia for the team camp, and he got a good idea of how they feel about his game. Both of them, they say I'm kind of a unique player, and they like the way I can facilitate the ball at my size. Tisby said I'm a 6'6" combo guard, so the way I can score the ball and the way I can pass the ball. They said I do a lot of little things that help win games and make a lot of winning plays. Meantime, Brad Brownell of Clemson has also made his presence known with Tisby from a recruiting standpoint, and he's hoping the Tigers will take the next step and offer as well. Coach Brownell is very passionate on the stuff he runs and what he does as far as the defensive game and offensive game, according to Tisby. He just wants his players to be able to score the ball at ease and not have to go late in the shot clock. And then on the defensive end, they're very help-oriented. They like to help the helper. It's a very good school. The fan base is very loyal. All the fans come to the games. They enjoy watching the teams play. The facilities they have, they take very good care of their players as far as getting them recovery. If they played a long game and they need time to recover, they have recovery machines. Tisby obviously impressed with the facilities that the Tigers currently possess. He has not scheduled any official visits for the fall, but is considering USC, Clemson, West Virginia, Harvard, and Yale for possible trips. His offers also include Mississippi State, Marquette, Auburn, Florida State, Rice, and Xavier. He does plan to sign in November. Tisby also gets it done in the classroom, clearly with Yale on his list, and Rice as well. He has a 4.23 GPA. Former Clemson right-handed pitcher Hayden Simerson is headed to Tennessee. This season he was 1-2 with 4 saves and a 3.62 ERA. He began his career at Catawba. And Coastal Carolina has landed 2026 recruit Carson Ray. According to his social media, Ray was originally committed to Houston. The shortstop infielder has been dominating in the Major League Baseball Draft Appalachian League this summer. And that's another big recruit headed to Chris Lamonis and the Chanticleers down in Conway. And that is a check of recruiting. Again, the Gamecocks just getting a commitment here in the last 15 minutes from Jamari Kane, wide receiver out of Richmond in the 2028 class. You can read more, all that stuff, up on our website at SportsTalkSC.com. And, of course, search it on our social media sites at ST Recruiting on Twitter. Speaking of which, Josh, before we hit the top of the hour break, don't forget to log in and make your thoughts known about our weekly poll question presented by Larry Lucas, State Farm Insurance in Columbia at 803-799-1998 and in Lexington, 803-359-0770. Now, they don't play for 21 more Saturdays, but if USC and Clemson were playing this Saturday in Death Valley, based on what you know now, who do you believe would win?
USC.
Right now, 68% agree with Josh Cohen. 32% think the Tigers will pull it off, and based on past history, you would understand the reason the Gamecocks have the edge, because they have played very well up at Clemson against the Tigers, not so well in Columbia, where the Tigers have played much better. We'll pose this question to Jason Priester, the Clemson insider. He joins us after the top of the hour.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The White House is providing new insight into President Trump's unusual change of planes on his trip home from Turkey. Willie Nelson reports.
The White House says President Trump's decision to fly aboard the older Air Force One during part of his return from Turkey was part of a security strategy. Officials describe the move as a form of distraction and misdirection designed to protect the president from potential threats. The president has repeatedly said he remains a top target of Iran amid renewed tensions in the Middle East. Willie Nelson, the White House.
There were more attacks between the U.S. and Iran today. Iran responded to the U.S. strikes by targeting American-allied Mideast nations.
Missile alert sirens went off in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Qatar this morning as Iran retaliated. There's no word on if there's any damage in those Gulf countries, but it just shows how everything is escalating, and this interim deal to try to end the war now looks increasingly at risk as this crossfire continues.
Correspondent John Gambrell reporting. There's a parasitic infection spreading in the Midwest with over 1,000 cases already confirmed.
Cyclospora is a parasite that causes severe diarrhea. It spreads through contaminated food and water, often linked to fresh produce. The largest Cyclospora outbreak is in Michigan. Investigations are underway in 28 other states, including Ohio. No deaths have been reported. The CDC says Cyclospora is usually not life-threatening and can be treated with antibiotics. Experts say finding the source of the outbreak can be difficult, and it's best to cook vegetables. Cyclospora can really stick to some foods, so washing may not eliminate the risk of infection. I'm Ed Donahue.
On Wall Street, the Dow up by 139 points, the Nasdaq rose 336, the S&P advanced 60. More at townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
When I was feeling the stress of too much credit card debt, I looked at two different options: debt settlement and debt management. They may sound the same, but guess what? They're not. Debt settlement seemed like a quick fix, but I found out it would destroy my credit, create tax headaches, and hit me with huge fees. They actually told me to stop paying my bills. No way, not me. Then I turned to a debt management plan developed by the team at Trinity. They worked with my creditors, lowered my payments, reduced my interest, saved me thousands, and paid off my debt. And Trinity is a Christian company, which is important to me.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
News outlets are asking a judge to sanction OpenAI in a copyright fight. We hear more on this developing story from correspondent Lisa Dwyer reporting.
The New York Times, the Daily News, and other media outlets are asking a federal judge to impose sanctions on OpenAI, escalating a legal fight over copyright. The newspapers allege the ChatGPT maker is hiding evidence important to what could be a landmark copyright infringement trial over how OpenAI and its business partner Microsoft built their AI technologies using millions of news articles. At issue is whether AI chatbots are unfairly competing as an information source, siphoning off web traffic without doing the journalistic work it took to gather the news. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Another muggy and warm evening, a chance for a stray shower before midnight. The low is 78. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies to go with a 30% opportunity for thunderstorms. We'll have a high reaching 97. For the weekend, rain possible. 40% chance Saturday, 60% possibility on Sunday, and we're cooler Sunday, high is 89. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888 898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Big Thursday night here on Sports Talk Media Network, all across the state of South Carolina on another extremely hot day here in July as we inch closer to talking season around here. ACC Media Days coming up next week. SEC Media Days to follow. We'll get more details on what to expect from the Clemson side of the coin in just a couple of minutes. Jason Priester will join us from the Clemson Insider. If you'd like to be a part of the program, you can at 888-898-2525. That's the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. And you can also text us. We'll try and get into some text messages. We get some to come through at 803-900-4847. Chris Bergen over here in Sardis, the Berge Palace. Josh Cohen back in our Columbia-based studios. Phil Kornblut has the rest of this week off and the majority of next week off.
He's somewhere over the Atlantic right now, right?
He may very well be. I don't know how he's doing this, though, because I've gotten like 3 text messages from him since the show began.
Really?
So he must be stealing the Wi-Fi on the air, in the American Airlines jet he's in.
Is he listening to the show from an airplane over the Atlantic?
That would not surprise me in the absolute least.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting when he gets to his destination overseas, if he's going to figure out a way, judging by the time change, if he can tune into Sports Talk too.
I'm surprised he didn't bring his piece of equipment that lets him do the show, the Comrex. I'm surprised he didn't take that. I mean, he'll have Wi-Fi, he said, so.
This is true.
It's possible.
Smitty needs it next week at ACC Media Days.
Sure, though.
That's our one saving grace right there. So, Phil, go enjoy. Have fun with the family. Don't worry about us. Josh and I got it on lockdown. And because of that, we can get really good guests on here on the program to help us out over the course of the next couple of weeks. And a good friend of the program jumping back on with us here tonight from the Clemson Insider. We say hello to Jason Priester on the phone lines tonight. JP, how you doing?
I am doing well. How about you guys?
We are doing extremely well, my friend. I'll pose you the question that we've popped up on Twitter that we wrapped up the first hour with. It's our weekly poll question because we're just desperate for football stuff. So our question this week is, they don't play for 21 more Saturdays, but knowing what you know right now about both teams, if USC and Clemson played this weekend at Clemson, who do you think would win?
Oh, man, that's a good one. I saw that one on Twitter. I had to think about it for a little while because I don't think I know a whole lot about Clemson at this point, to be quite honest. I don't think I know too much about South Carolina with the new offensive coordinator and what that offensive line's going to look like. I know South Carolina's won the past 2 games there, but I might ride with Clemson just because they're at home, based off what little I know about both teams at this point. But as we get a little deeper into the season, I absolutely reserve the right to change my mind on that.
I understand. It's hard to believe Phil went through and counted the Saturdays between now and late November to figure that out, too, before he posted the Twitter question.
I did see that an overwhelming majority of people, when I saw it, had voted for South Carolina, so I did think that was interesting.
Yes, it is. I think that's based probably solely on probably more Gamecock fans piping in, or the fact that the Gamecocks have won the last 2 on the road up at Clemson. But, yeah, you're right. I think we all have the right to reserve an opportunity to change our minds as we get into November. All right, let's dig in. Speaking of changing minds, Clemson had to go take a double take on their president. So what do we know about Benjamin Ayers, the University of Georgia provost, who is now going to, it appears, take the job and stick with it as Clemson's 16th president?
Yeah, that was a nice segue, man. Talking about just a odd story. That thing just kind of came out of nowhere. That the guy that they hired back at the end of May is absolutely. It turns out he's going to stay at Michigan State. I mean, I don't think anybody saw that coming there. But just if you kind of gauge the tone of what you see on social media, it kind of feels like most of the fan base liked this hire better than the original one. I think a lot of that's probably political. I don't really get too deep into politics. I'm not a political person at all, but. This Ayers is an Alabama grad. Dabo Swinney's an Alabama grad. I'm sure they will hit it off just based on that alone. so far, I don't know a whole lot about him outside. I talked to somebody that's pretty plugged in over at Georgia, told me he's been really good at the fundraising stuff. And, in this era, with everything being so centered on the money aspect and the money these programs are having to shell out to pay these players and looking for new revenue streams any way they can find them. I think that is important. And if he's good at that, he's probably going to be successful.
According to Yahoo, he's actually credited with growing the business school's endowment at Georgia from $90 million to nearly $300 million. So clearly he understands that side of the coin. But you brought up an excellent point, the connection between he and Dabo Swinney, because they both went to Alabama. In your mind, how much influence does Dabo Swinney have on a presidential hire? How much should he have? And not just Dabo, but every football coach around the country. How much influence do you think those guys should have on the hiring of a president at a university?
I think it's important if you have a guy like or a coach like Dabo Swinney in place who's established. He's proven. He's won a couple of national titles despite what's happened the past few years. You absolutely want to get a president in place who kind of shares the same vision. That they're gonna work together, kind of pull in the same direction. I think that's one thing Clemson was so successful with. Over the years, they had the president, the AD, and the head coach. They kind of all shared the same or a similar vision, and they all worked together and pulled in the same direction. And there were nobody was there working against one another. And I think that's important. How much actual say, a football coach should have, that's hard to narrow down, but, I think if you've got a coach like Dabo who's had the success he's had, I think he's, you at least want to get his opinion on it, right? I mean, you at least want to make sure it's somebody that he's going to be able to work with and those kind of things. But again, both of them being from Alabama, I would not foresee that being any issue at all.
Jason Priester with us here tonight on Sports Talk from the Clemson Insider. All right, let's get into talking season. It is almost upon us, my friend. Next week up in Charlotte, it will actually start on Tuesday. Clemson will have their local media outing on Tuesday before heading up to Uptown Charlotte for Media Days. What do you think will be some of the big storylines, some of the questions that will be posed, whether you ask them or other media ask of Clemson and Dabo Swinney next weekend?
Probably one of the biggest ones is going to center around the quarterback. Clemson's choosing not to take a quarterback up to Charlotte. Not something that, if you're kind of in tune to what's been going on throughout the spring, I don't think anybody should have been all that surprised by that. There's no firmly entrenched starter. Dabo keeps saying Chris Vazina's in the pole position, but he's also said Tate Reynolds is certainly capable of winning that job. So I think if you got a quarterback battle going on, it's probably smart not to send that either of those quarterbacks up there to face the kind of questioning they would be faced with in that kind of setting. But that's probably going to be one of the biggest things that at least Dabo gets asked about. There's some new faces along the offensive line that you wonder how the health of Colin Sadler's holding up, and if he's going to be one of those guys that start or among the best five that maybe start this season. You got the two tackles in place and the center in place, but we'll see what they decide to do at guard. I thought it was interesting that they're taking a tight end up there. I don't think over the past 3 years that the tight end's always been a focal point all that much the way it has been in the past. I think, with Chad Morris coming back, those tight ends have probably got to be happy. He's got he had a tight end that actually won the Imaki Award one year when he was at Clemson the first time. And I think another thing would be the new look defense, the retooled defense, particularly the back end of that defense. All those new faces. Of all Clemson brings in 10, 11 transfers, all of them on the defensive side except for one. So that defense has kind of been totally remade, and the interior of the defensive line, I think there's some questions there. So I think that'll be a hot topic too.
Jason, do you think it's an indication since, as you pointed out, they're taking a tight end as opposed to any of the other sort of skill positions on the offensive side? Certainly, I think we believe the wide receivers can be really good, but is it an indication that since they did not take a running back, they're still a little unclear as to how the backfield might shake out?
I would expect Gideon Davidson to kind of be the featured guy. He's not been he's only been there 1 year. He's not been in front of the media a ton. Maybe that played into the decision and not taking him. I absolutely think they brought Chris Johnson in for a reason, and it was not to sit on the bench. The guy's going to play. But I think Gideon's probably going to be, the guy that probably gets the bulk of the work there. Chad Morris I think it was Chad Morris back in the spring kind of mentioned he was kind of leading the charge there at that position. But, if you got Jay Haynes healthy, and David Azuiumame, can take another step.
Nice.
I think that running back room is in, pretty decent shape. Again, assuming Jay Haynes can finally get healthy. He's had a time coming back from the ACL that he tore in the ACC championship game against SMU. But I fully expect Gideon Davidson to kind of lead the charge there. He didn't get as much opportunity as some would have liked to have seen last year, and I think it's going to be his time now.
Speaking of injuries, news coming out today that Watson Young, you talked about the offensive line earlier, one of the members of the offensive line is stepping away from football, no longer a member of the Tigers roster, really hasn't had an opportunity to play all that much. So how big a loss is that for an offensive line that may already have some injuries they're dealing with?
Yeah, he missed he was entering this would be his third season with the program. He had a knee injury during his first year, caused him to miss the whole season. He's had another injury or two since, if I'm remembering right. He didn't play at all last year, but I remember, Dabo was asked about him in the spring, and they had kind of they were working him at center, and Dabo said he was battling. If he was ever going to be a factor, it probably would have been another year or two before we saw him. He was just that kind of a developmental guy, and he's falling behind with the injuries and stuff. So I don't know that it's this huge loss, at least not for this year. I don't think he would have been in the too deep anywhere along the offensive line. But it's in his bloodlines. His father was Kyle Young. He's a Clemson Athletic Hall of Famer. So I mean, it's not like it's not like it's in his blood, man. You never know what he could have developed into, but I hate to hear that he had to step away from the game. You don't ever want to hear that about any kid.
Jason Priester with us for a few more moments from the Clemson Insider. All right, we've hit on what the Tigers may expect to see in terms of questions next week in Uptown Charlotte. In terms of the Atlantic Coast Conference as a whole, what are some of the storylines you're most interested in as you head up there?
One of the biggest things that I'm interested in hearing from James Franklin, I don't know why, but him at Virginia Tech just kind of fascinates me. They've kind of been stuck in the bottom portion of the league for so long now, and I just think that's a program that if they had the right leadership in place, not just the head coach, but the athletic department and all that stuff, they all have to be aligned. I think there's some potential there. We've seen them have success in the past, back when Frank Beamer was the coach, and I think they could have some in the future too. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to hearing from some of those guys. And same thing with Miami, man. The last year before that, it's with Miami's resurgence, it's always kind of fun to hear those guys. I remember Carson Beck and him coming out and speaking with the media when he was there last time, man, that was one of the interviews I enjoyed the most. And with Darian Mensah being there this time, I'm sure they'll have a lot to say. But those are probably two of the things that I would look forward to the most outside of the Clemson stuff.
Obviously, I think Miami will be a major focal point coming off the playoff run they had last year. Virginia, clearly one of the surprises last year, won 11 ball games. I think Tony Elliott's done a terrific job up there. But how much do you think Manny Diaz, does he have it in him to take a pot shot at his former school, considering, all right, we won the ACC last year, I'm saying in Duke, and then Miami stole my quarterback.
And one of their best receivers too. So let's not leave him out. I mean, it's not like they just took the quarter, and they did it at the last hour when Duke really didn't have a whole lot of time left. There wasn't really a whole lot of options left, to be honest. If you're going after a top flight quarterback, it would have been different if they'd have done it a couple weeks earlier. But there's nothing off limits in college football these days. I hate what it's become. With using the Ferrelli stuff at Clemson with Ole Miss as an example, but it just seemed like you just kind of had a feeling that Mensah was going to leave, and despite all the stuff he was saying publicly, but that would be interesting if he would say something, because again, it's not like he just took his quarterback. He took arguably his best wide receiver too, so he took a chunk of that offense and moved it down to South Bend, that's for sure. But that would absolutely be entertaining. I didn't even think about that.
Do you think everybody's going to remember that Duke actually won the ACC last year, or is that long forgotten now?
If they're like me, it's long forgotten. I don't really give it any thought. I certainly don't think about it. Especially after the run that Miami made in the playoff, making it all the way to the national title game. It would be something if that turned out to be the same way in the ACC this year. You get a 6-5 winner and ends up screwing somebody else out of a playoff spot, but it's a lot of money you're leaving on the table there. But if they're like me, it's long forgotten, that's for sure.
Jason, as always, my friend, we appreciate the time. Smitty will be in Uptown Charlotte with you next week. I may catch you on Tuesday up at Clemson for their local media. Hope to see you then. If not, have fun in Charlotte next week.
Always appreciate it, fellas.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate the time tonight. That's Jason Priester, the Clemson Insider. You can follow him on Twitter at JP_Priester. That's Priester. And, of course, you can also read all his stuff at the Clemson Insider. Outstanding stuff there with Jason. All right, we'll slide out for a quick timeout. We'll come back, hit some of the other news notes of the day. We'll talk some World Cup soccer with Mike Noonan, head coach of the Clemson men's soccer program. A lot of stuff we're going to dig in with him coming up just after 7:30. Your phone call certainly welcome as well at 888-898-2525 on a big Thursday here on Sports Talk.
Hi, I'm attorney Jim Corbett. For over 35 years, I've been handling claims and cases for individuals and small businesses. I've now been a mediator for more than 10 years. Let me put that experience to work for you. Like if you're injured in a wreck or on the job or at someone else's place, anytime you should get reimbursed or compensated. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968 or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Corbett with an E, and the initial consultation is free. Jim Corbett to settle your claims, avoid a lawsuit, or go to trial.
Looking for a new car? You need to think about a Kia. If you're in the market for an SUV, consider the new Kia Telluride or the new Kia Sorento. They're big, they're strong, and loaded with tech for thousands less than Honda or Toyota. You'll see the difference right away, and you get double the warranty. Plus, you get the JT's Advantage million-mile warranty and about 1,000 other things you have to see to believe. If you want the biggest bang for your buck, it's time to think about a new JT's Kia. We're serious about saving you money.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is here, and as you get ready to go out on the water this spring and summer, make sure you have all the required safety equipment on board. Check for a sound device. A horn or whistle will suffice for most boats. Inspect all of your life jackets. Make sure they're in good condition and are the correct size for all of your passengers. If your boat is over 16 feet, you will need to make sure you have an approved throwable device on board as well. Remember, boating safety is no accident.
All right, big thank you to Jason Priester, the Clemson Insider. Good stuff. Don't forget, next week, Matt Smith will be in Charlotte, in Uptown Charlotte, all week, the 3 days of ACC Media Days, next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Complete coverage here on the program and also at SportsTalkSC.com. And then the following week down in Tampa, Corn will be back from vacation, and he will be down there covering SEC Media Days as well. So looking forward to all of that, talking season stuff. Plus, next week we'll mix in some of Sunbelt Media Days down in New Orleans, as Ryan Beard and the Chanticleers will be on the dais on Wednesday, so we'll have some of that for you. And then next Tuesday, as a matter of fact, sort of kicking off talking season here on Sports Talk, I'll be up at Clemson for their local media stuff. Josh, I may actually stop by and hang out with you on the ride back Tuesday.
I was talking to Phil on the way out last night, and he said, it might be on the way for Chris. It might be a little bit easier. So what time's the press conference on that day?
They start really early. Dabo actually start about 8:30, 9 o'clock with the assistant coaches, but then Dabo speaks right after lunch. So I may meander through. I may go to Newberry. Take go right around uptown Newberry.
So it's an all-day thing at Clemson.
Check out the Opera House.
All-day thing at Clemson? Sir? It's an all-day event at
Pretty
Clemson?
Much, yeah. It's all morning and early afternoon, yeah. They used to let us play on the Mentor Golf Course and play some of the video games and stuff they have in Dabo World, so that was always fun. See if they're going to do that again on Tuesday. So we'll officially kick off talking season next Tuesday here on Sports Talk. All right, 888-898-2525. If you'd like to join us, we'll talk some World Cup soccer. United States men's national team bounced on Monday by Belgium. We'll get Mike Noonan, Clemson men's soccer, his take on that in just a little while. Some other news notes of the day. If you buy into this stuff, the chances to make the college football playoff per ESPN's FPI, their Football Power Index, Clemson is at 21%. South Carolina right around 11%. To give you a point of reference, Ohio State has a 76% chance to make the college football playoff. Notre Dame, a 74% chance. Indiana, this is interesting, won the national championship last year, surprised everybody on the planet. They only have a 57% chance not to repeat. That's not where we're talking, just to get back into the playoff. Texas Tech, despite not having Brendan Swordsby, who will not play at quarterback, a 58%. And Josh, with all the hype around Lane Kiffin going to LSU and everything being placed on that program, and of course opening the season at home against Clemson, LSU only has a 40%, 39.7 to be exact, percent chance, according to the ESPN Football Power Index, to make the college football playoff. If they don't make the playoff this season with everything going on, how do you think that's going to sit with the LSU fans?
Well, they paid too much money for Lane Kiffin, so he's not going anywhere.
True.
I think he has a couple of years at least. Definitely going to be upset, without a doubt. I think it'll be a good win. Okay, this is going to be a hot take. I think Clemson's going to win the first game. I think it'll be an upset on the Tigers. Well, not on the Clemson Tigers, but the Baton Rouge Tigers is what I'll call them. But I think they're going to. I think Clemson's going to win. I'm kind of optimistic about USC and Clemson for the season. But for your answer your question, it's going to be quite an upset if that does not happen.
Well, as I mentioned, Clemson a 21.1% chance to make the playoff. They are wedged in between Penn State at 22% and Tennessee at 20.5%. Meantime, the Gamecocks at 10.7%. They are wedged in between Boise State at 11% and Washington at 9.4%. By the way, Florida State 9.2% chance to make the college football playoff. All right, we will take a timeout. When we come back, we'll talk football of a different kind. The World Cup soccer action here on Sports Talk next.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Another muggy and warm evening. A chance for a stray shower before midnight. The low is 78. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies to go with a 30% opportunity for thunderstorms. We'll have a high reaching 97. For the weekend, rain possible. 40% chance Saturday, 60% possibility on Sunday, and we're cooler Sunday. High is 89. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
What's better than getting the best Wagyu and Hereford beef anywhere in these parts and getting it delivered to your door? How about knowing you're still supporting local farmers in Saluda over at H&J Cattle, where tradition meets quality? Visit HandJCattle.com. Place your order for $50 or more, get free delivery in Richland or Lexington County. Plus, Point listeners get 10% off your order. Enter keyword The Point as one word for your discount. HandJCattle.com.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The United States has launched new airstrikes against Iran, and Tehran responded by targeting Gulf countries. The exchange of fire threatened an interim deal intended to help end the war in the Middle East. Back-and-forth attacks have repeatedly threatened the ceasefire, but Thursdays appeared bigger all around. A video played in a Utah court reveals that the defendant in Charlie Kirk's killing told his roommate he wished he hadn't done it the day after Kirk was shot in the neck while speaking to a crowd at Utah Valley University. Lance Twiggs, who is also defendant Tyler Robinson's romantic partner, described the interaction with Robinson during a recorded interview with a prosecutor. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 139 points, the Nasdaq rose 336, the S&P advanced 60. More details at srnnews.com.
Nobody plans for a plumbing problem. They come unannounced and usually at a very inconvenient time. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is your trusted ally. They recognize just how vulnerable a customer is at this time, and they want to help. They have well-trained plumbers who are there to make a difference when you need it most. I've experienced this. They're knowledgeable about their craft. They're not coming to your house to pitch new products. If something is broken, they'll give you a price to fix it if it's possible, or a price to replace it if necessary. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning is also locally owned and operated, or I simply wouldn't endorse them. Josh and his team prioritize customer service above everything else. They handle every issue with care and precision. Those are not just words. I've had Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning out to my home. They back up those words with their actions. If you have a crisis, get some peace of mind. Online, you find them at franklinplumbing.sc.com, or you call 799-2222. That's 799-2222. I'm absolutely positive they will make whatever is wrong right again. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning.
Have you heard of SCORE? For over 60 years, SCORE has provided no-fee mentoring and education to small business owners and entrepreneurs. Last year alone, our Midlands chapter helped over 425 people, and across the state helped to launch more than 900 new businesses. If you're starting out and want to grow your business, SCORE can help. And if you have business experience and you want to give back as a mentor, we want to hear from you. Visit score.org to find a mentor, become one, or call us at 545-3826. That's SCORE, your partner in small business success.
Have you had a broken windshield compliments of those South Carolina roads? The insurance company might try to steer you one way to the big national guy, but remember, it's your choice. Go local. Call Absolute Glass.
We can repair your car back to factory specifications, including recalibrating all of your safety systems. We do great work and have been building long-lasting relationships for over 20 years.
That's why we've been voted Best Glass Company in Lexington for 15 straight years. Visit us online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com or call us at 951-7200. And remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Need a quality grill that'll outlast the test of time? Bart Fireside on Broad River Road in Columbia has your grill. Bart Fireside offers you a wide variety of outdoor grills. Smokers from the Big Green Egg, infrared grills by Tech, propane grills from Napoleon, and pellet grills from Green Mountain. Bart Fireside has the perfect outdoor grill for any occasion. Call them at 772-7364, and they're online at bartfireside.com.
Hey everybody, I'm David Jolly with South Carolina Insurance Brokers. I'm from Lexington. I live here, work here, play here. Ever feel like just a policy number with those big national insurance companies? It's time for a change. As your independent agent, I don't work for one big insurer. I work for you. I shop top carriers to find you the better coverage at a better price. Don't wait for a claim to see if your agent cares. Call me, David Jolly, at 803-380-8877 or visit scinsbrokers.com. When you think of insurance, I ask that you think of me, David Jolly.
Back we are, Sports Talk Media Network on a fine Thursday night all around the state of South Carolina. And actually glancing at the weather a moment ago, sunny and still 95 degrees here in Florence. So perfect baseball weather, as Chris Dorsey brought up to us about an hour or so ago here on the program. 888-898-2525 if you'd like to join us here in the final half hour. We're going to catch up with Mike Noonan, the head men's soccer coach at Clemson, here in just a quick second. Don't forget tomorrow, just a heads up, when we get into birdies and bogeys on turf, the golf segment, good friend of the program and turning into an awfully good golfer on the Champions Tour, Tommy Two Gloves Gainey of the PD, just right around the corner, Bishopville, Hartsville area. He is going to be a part of the program tomorrow night, guest with George Bryan on the show, so you'll want to tune in for that at 7:30 tomorrow night as we'll catch up with Two Gloves. But, of course, our nation's, even if you're not a big soccer fan, you've been sort of captivated by what the U.S. men's national team was able to accomplish up until Monday night. They picked the worst time to have their worst game in a loss to Belgium. So we thought it'd be fascinating to get the take of one of the better collegiate soccer coaches in the country, a guy who has 2 national championships to his credit in 2021 and also in 2023 as head coach of the Clemson men's soccer team. Mike Noonan joins us tonight here on the phone line. We are thrilled to have you, Coach. Appreciate the time. How you doing tonight?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. It's glorious night down here in Clemson. I've got a camp going on, a bunch of young future Tigers or future whatever players out running around. We're having a great time.
How much do you think camps in youth soccer, how much do you believe what we have seen here the past couple of weeks will help grow the sport in terms of youth soccer? I know it's always been a growing sport, but how much do you think this year's World Cup may help sort of speed that up a little bit?
Yeah, soccer in this country is ever since I was younger and going to camp, has always been a large participation sport. It just hasn't been until, maybe after the 94 Cup came, then it became a little bit more mainstream as a viewership sport. And I think that this World Cup has taken it to a whole new level, obviously. We're setting records in not just the U.S. games, but the Mexico-England game, I think, was the largest ever seen soccer game in this country and rivaled the NFL playoffs.
Coach, my wife and I actually went to see Spain and Cape Verde in the opening round down in Atlanta, and I was blown away, not just by the amount of fans that were there, filled up the Falcon Stadium, but I was also as intrigued by not just the Spanish fans who are actually either from Spain or descendants from Spain, but Americans who are actually pulling for the Spanish national team. I thought that was fascinating. Clearly, we all are U.S. men's national team fans, but what is the attraction that soccer fans in your mind have to other nations and their players?
Well, Spain's one of the top 5 playing nations and one of the seeded teams in the tournament, and many of they get a lot of exposure. La Liga gets a lot of exposure over here on television, and so most of our young players and anybody who follows the sport, is generally the Premier League is probably the most viewed, and then La Liga is the second most viewed league in the world, with probably better viewership than even the MLS over here. So people are very, very familiar with the Spanish team. They're the current European champions. They've got a lot of young stars that really resonate with the younger generation of players that are coming up in this country right now.
Talking World Cup soccer tonight with a guy who knows a thing or two about success on the pitch, the head men's soccer coach at Clemson, Mike Noonan, with us here tonight on Sports Talk. All right, let's talk about the U.S. men's national team up until Monday. How impressed were you with their play, and then what happened on Monday against Belgium?
Well, I can only speculate on Monday, but I was as disappointed as all the other Americans with the performance on Monday, because the lead up to that game, in terms of their prior performances, was probably the best I've seen our national team play in my lifetime, in every facet of the game. It was attacking, it was fast, it was athletic, it was skillful. We were scoring goals, we weren't conceding goals. Everything that you'd want to see in the game up to that point had happened for us. Now, obviously, as you get into the knockout rounds and further into the knockout rounds, the level of competition increases. That's in any tournament. I think that the Belgians were definitely a cut above what we had played up to that point. But, you look and you see, on any given day, like Paraguay gave a great game to the French team, or at least gave them a battle that the French were able to come out ahead of, and we handled Paraguay. So, Monday night was, I think it was a couple of main things, and these are things that in any tournament, you're going to need to come up against, or you will come up against if you're going to advance and move on. The first thing is you have to control the sideshow. And the sideshow leading into that game was ridiculous. U.S. Soccer and Flo handled themselves exceptionally well after the red card. However, other factors got involved, and it became a political situation, and then that became the story, not the game. And that affects a team. It affects the preparation.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Coach, do you think the Balogun red card was actually, clearly you thought it was a bad call, but aside from that, having him back in the mix, did that actually maybe hurt the U.S. men's national team?
No, and to be honest with you, I didn't think it was a bad call. Everybody said it was. It's a referee's judgment. It's a referee's judgment call. It was an injurious foul, right? It was completely unintentional, but it is serious foul play when that can lead to an injury. By the letter of the law, that can be red carded, right? I don't think the referee wanted a red card, but the referees are also being evaluated. And, one of the problems with VAR is that when you slow things down and the referees take a look at it, it looks worse than it actually was. So I think that in and of itself was a judgment call. It went against us. If you're the United States, you hope it's yellow. If you're the opposition, you think it's red to give you the advantage. So it had nothing to do with whether it was a good or a bad call. It's what happened afterwards. And I think that, again, U.S. Soccer and Flo and the team were prepared completely to move ahead and play without him. And then everything changed.
Yep.
And then everything changed. I think the second huge factor, I think the second huge factor that led to the flat performance was the fact that everything had gone so well for us in the tournament up to that point. We had such a feel-good factor with the country, such a feel-good factor with the support of the team. Scoring early in pretty much every single game reduces the pressure that's on the players. And, again, the further you go in the tournament, now everybody, all us Americans, you can listen to Alexia on television, you can go all the way down. We're expecting to win the game, right? And we're actually even the favorites in the game playing at home. That hasn't happened many times to the U.S. national team at that level of a tournament, particularly in the World Cup. So the game started, and Belgium, because again of the sideshow, they have the pressure completely taken off of them. They have extra motivation because they're feeling wronged by Belgian play. And they're on the front foot from the beginning of the game, and we're getting hammered. And then they score early. And for the first time, we faced adversity in the tournament. And I feel that the internal leadership on the team was not strong enough to deal with that. I think that the coach, and again, I'm a coach, but I think the grit and the passion and a lot of what the team had shown when things were going well, that was directed by the coach. You can see his parents in interviews in tears because he's coaching the U.S. national team. It's in his blood. But that's got to be in the players' blood. And I felt that it is in the players' blood when things are going really well. But now things weren't going well. And to step up and respond, we didn't have the response. And I think we didn't have the response because the energy of the sideshow had taken it out of the players. Now they were fearing failure.
Mm-hmm.
It went from we got a grip of the game. Again, after about 15 minutes, we started to play. And we got a grip of the game, and then the hydration break came. Disrupted our rhythm. And when we came back out, we couldn't get it back. Then the second goal came, and then it just unraveled from there. So, that's one coach's opinion on what happened. It may be right, it may be wrong. I know that my experience with my teams in tournament play, those are things that we work desperately to try and keep in control and also to work through with our team, situations where adversity is going to hit and how we're going to respond to those types of things. And
I think you're spot on.
I don't know, but I think that, in 2015 we went to the NCAA final against Stanford. And it was very similar. You have to have experience in those situations. And the U.S. national team hasn't had that much experience. That team in that situation, playing on home soil, being the favorite, expectations to win. And like I said, we went to the final, and everything leading up to that, we won in penalty kicks. Everything leading up was great. This, that, and the other thing. And we walked out against Stanford and Jordan Morris, and same thing happened. They punched us in the face in the first 10 minutes, scored a goal. Jordan scored the second goal about 15 minutes later, and we got rocked 4-0. But the seeds of our success in 21 and 23, and our coaching staff, we learned from that experience. And I expect that the U.S. national team and the players who played in this World Cup, just like they learned from Qatar and took a step, we'll learn from this, and we'll be better moving forward. So
that's good stuff.
That's my take.
Mike Noonan, great take. Head men's soccer coach at Clemson. Coach, we only have a couple of minutes. I wanted to get to your team for a few moments. You guys aren't far from getting on the pitch to open up the brand new season. Got an exhibition coming up basically in a month. How do you feel about the 2026 installment of the Tigers? Then I want to get your thoughts, if we can, on the split season that you guys will start playing the following year.
Yeah. Our team, everybody's back on campus. We're missing one or two guys right now who are in MLS camps. Guys who were drafted last year are coming back to school, but are training with those MLS teams right now. But everybody else is back on campus. We're healthy, and they're doing some schoolwork and working with our strength and conditioning coaches and getting ready for the season. We're very, very excited. I think we have great depth in our team. We'll have great internal competition within the team. I think we've got the right balance of returning players who have the scar of first round or second round exit in the NCAA tournament last year to motivate them. And I think the new blood that we brought in is very, very talented, and it's in the right places of the team. So it's July, and whenever July comes, it's better than Christmas for me because I know the season's just a month away.
Well, you'll go through a regular, if you will, season this year, which wraps up with the national championship in the fall semester. But then next year, 27-28 campaign, college soccer is going to go to a split schedule where you play games in the fall and in the spring. First off, do you like that move? And secondly, what are the benefits, if you do, of going to the split schedule?
Yeah. Just for accuracy purposes, that has not been approved yet. It was supposed to be approved at the last council meeting a week and a half ago, and it was remanded back to the committee to answer a number of further questions. That'll be done in July, and we're hoping in the meeting in October it will be approved fully.
Okay.
But we do fully expect that that's the pathway we're on. I've been on this journey for about 20 years trying to get this season switched, so I'm very much in favor of it.
Obviously.
It is better for the student athlete in terms of our sport. Our calendar is the shortest calendar of any NCAA team from preseason to championship. Our sport, the calendar hasn't changed since the 50s. When people were playing, you got the fall season done, so you could play basketball or the winter sport, or wrestle, and then you could play the spring sports, right? Because everybody was playing 2 and 3 sports at that time. That's no longer the case, and the demands of our sport are too much to be playing 3 games a week. It creates injuries, missed class time. It's more favorable for the athletes. And you just think this, right? A guy gets a hamstring injury, right? Or, Yamin Lamal got injured just before, or with a week and a half, 2 weeks left in the La Liga season. Well, it took him about a month to 5 weeks before he really was at full training and ready to play in Spain's first World Cup game, or second World Cup game is when he actually started. If that was an NCAA season, he would have missed up to 9 games.
Oh, wow.
In an 18-game schedule. So that's one of the things that'll help. The other thing that's really beneficial is that in the summertime, the players will, instead of being here in July, they'll have the opportunity to go do internships, because we won't start preseason until late August. We won't start our matches until early September. They will go until just around Thanksgiving. You'll play 1 match a week. Then we'll break until we'll start training again in February. Matches to start in March. And we'll play, again, 1 match a week. Maybe 1 week we'll play 2 matches. And then you'll have your ACC tournament or your conference tournaments and your NCAA tournament in May in places with good weather. Right now we're doing our NCAA tournament in, I told you in 2015 we were in Kansas City, and it was about 31 degrees and sleeting that day. And so there wasn't a crowd, right? We fight the bowl season in football for any type of television exposure. So the whole thing, all the way around, betters our sport. And the other thing is you can actually get some training in, right? So in between games, you can actually train your team. Right now, we play on Friday. We recover on Saturday. We have to give them the day off on Sunday. We prepare on Monday. We play on Tuesday. We rest on Wednesday. We prepare on Thursday. We play on Friday for our next opponent. There's no real training and development of the players. So the new calendar should help us. It's not, increasing anything in terms of games and number of days that we're playing. It's just a redistribution throughout the course of the year that's in the best interest of the student athletes in the game.
Outstanding stuff with Mike Noonan, the head men's soccer coach at Clemson. They get ready to open up another season, already 2 national championships under his belt, hoping for a 3rd this upcoming campaign. Coach, we really appreciate the time. Fascinating stuff from you. Outstanding takes on the World Cup. Enjoy what's left of it when you get a chance to watch, and good luck this upcoming season. We'll talk again hopefully soon.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you having us on, and go Tigers.
Yes, sir. That is Mike Noonan, Edmund soccer coach at Clemson. Well, there you go. There's an education in World Cup soccer from a guy who knows the sport extremely well. Been on that crusade to get the split schedule for 20. I did not realize, though, they had not officially approved it. I thought that was already in the can. Sounds like it's going to be rubber stamped here soon. At least Coach hopes so. All right, final time out on this big Thursday. We'll come back and look forward to Friday. Do that next here on Sports Talk.
Business owners, if you're ready to grow your business, you can relax. With Founders Federal Credit Union, we mean business. When it comes to business loans, from equipment to expansion, our flexible financing can help fund real business growth. If you're considering a business loan, such as real estate, vehicles, equipment, or an unsecured loan or line of credit, our team is here to help. Our local experts will review your application, resulting in quick decisions and processing. And unlike most banks, we don't charge prepayment penalties. As always, from Founders, you can expect great rates and exceptional service along the way. Visit foundersfcu.com/business to learn more, or to get started, stop by an office near you or give us a call. 800-845-1614. That's 800-845-1614. Membership qualification required. Institution NMLS. Identifier number 410646. Equal housing lender. Rates, terms, and conditions are subject to change. Loans are subject to credit evaluation and underwriting requirements.
If you want to reach sports fans, there's no better place than the Sports Talk Media Network. We give your business exposure on over 20 radio affiliates across South Carolina, plus online at SportsTalkSC.com and on our growing social media platforms. That means radio, digital, and social, all working together for your brand. Our audience is loyal, engaged, and they trust what they hear from us. We partner with local businesses, regional brands, and anyone who wants to connect with real sports fans. From live reads and sponsorships to digital advertising, we'll build a custom campaign to fit your goals and budget. Ready to advertise with Sports Talk Media Network? Visit sportstalksc.com/sales-contact. That's sportstalksc.com/sales-contact. Sports Talk Media Network. Advertising that reaches sports fans.
This is Major Billy Downer with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is here, and as you get ready to go out on the water this spring and summer, make sure you have all the required safety equipment on board. Check for a sound device. A horn or whistle will suffice for most boats. Inspect all of your life jackets. Make sure they're in good condition and are the correct size for all of your passengers. If your boat is over 16 feet, you will need to make sure you have an approved throwable device on board as well. Remember, boating safety is no accident.
Final segment of Sports Talk on this big Thursday night with Chris and Josh. I appreciate Mike Noonan dropping by for a visit. Very informative with the head coach of the Tigers about the World Cup. Earlier today, in case you missed it, France advancing to the semifinals with a 2-0 win over Morocco. They still look like, to me, I didn't have a chance to ask Coach his favorite, but they still look like, to me, the best team in the world, and it'll take a monumental effort to beat them, in my opinion, in the next couple of rounds. All right, Major League Baseball finals from earlier today. In case you missed it, Braves actually bounced back and won today. They win 10-5. The Mets knocked off the Royals 7-3 this afternoon. You saw the Yankees. As soon as Corn leaves town, the Yankees figure out how to hit the baseball. They win 12-4 over Tampa Bay today. The Orioles, a 3-2 win over the Chicago Cubs. They got 3 runs on just 3 hits and committed 2 errors. Somehow, though, they found a way to win here this afternoon. All right, coming up on the program tomorrow, going to have some fun with Two Gloves. Tommy Gainey set to join us, talk some golf. Get you caught up on all the things, ins and outs of the world of golf. We'll do that on the program tomorrow. Jeff will be with us as well, as we'll talk some NASCAR racing as the series continues with the in-season tournament. Get Jeff's take on all things NASCAR on the show tomorrow. And don't know what else we'll get into. Was trying to get a guest on to talk in addition to Jason. It worked out really well with him tonight, but may try and get somebody from either the ACC schools that Clemson may face, or may start digging into some of the SEC schools as we continue talking football. And don't forget, next week, Matt Smith will be live on the ground at Uptown Charlotte for ACC Media Days, and talking season certainly getting underway next week here on Sports Talk. Big thank you to the plumber, Josh Cohen. Josh, enjoyed it. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
I'll see you.
All right, and we'll see you folks back here tomorrow night on Sports Talk.